Thanks for taking the time to watch my video. Hopefully no one else made a video on this because I need to feel special. So, anyways, here's why I think the professor might actually have been alternan. We knew that the professor was an intelligent human, and that he knew of humanity's approaching end, so we made his cat, Judd, immortal and put him into cryosleep since he cared for him, and created Tartar, an AI meant to prevent future civilizations from repeating humanity's mistakes. With all that out of the way, we can finally move on to what this video is all about. If we go back to the alternologues, it says that surviving humans took refuge in a crater created by a massive volcanic eruption, and that they chose scientists to lead the survivors. I believe that the professor was one of these scientists. In Splatoon 1, Sunken Scroll 25 shows that scientific groups as well as the professor were well aware of the rising tide. I believe these groups were the same scientists that built Alterna. Ready for the apocalypse, they survived along with the people they could rescue, given the power to lead after being proven right and gaining trust. I also have evidence to believe that Judd once lived in Alterna with the professor, given that when you enter the Alterna Space Center, Orca says that pets and/or sidekicks are allowed. Not only does this directly imply that land-traversing pets were a thing in Alterna, but I also think that Judd frequently was in the Space Center with the professor, given how he loved him and probably brought Judd everywhere he went, even when doing science things. The professor is believed to be one of the last humans living when he froze Judd. The alternologue says that few people survived the rocket disaster but died soon after. I believe the professor to be one of these survivors along with Judd. Knowing that humanity was doomed, he froze Judd and created Tartar. I must fill in a blank for this part. Sunken Scroll 26 shows that Inkling Society has discovered the capsule that Judd was frozen in and took it to a research lab. This raises the question, how was Alterna not discovered along with the capsule? Since the alternologue says that the survivors escaped the carnage, I believe that the professor escaped the disaster and cobbled together a lab where he froze Judd, close enough to the surface for Judd to reach it, and far enough from Alterna for it not to be discovered. I hope I was able to convince you why I believe the professor was alternan. However, we're not done yet. There is still someone I have a theory left for. Although this video is advertised to be about the professor, this part might actually take up a bigger portion since Tartar's creator being alternan, which gives him ties to Alterna, might actually explain a lot of things about Tartar. If you own both the Octo expansion and Splatoon 3 and were at all paying attention, it should come to no surprise that things in both campaigns share the same objects, just with varying amounts of alterations. Both Alterna and Kamaboko have stations meant for equipping weapons, gates for entering challenges, and goals meant to be assembled by being shot at. Heck, the respawn points are barely changed and these orange pads are just straight up the same. The one on the right is simply cleaned up and has the Kamaboko logo slapped on. This could imply that maybe Kamaboko perhaps wasn't made from scratch and was made using things from Alterna. Now back when watching part 3, you were probably thinking, wasn't Tartar made to give humanity's knowledge to the next worthy life forms, but now wants to create a new life form? How does that fit into anything? And you're right, it doesn't. You see, Nintendo has a team that localizes the dialogue for the translated versions of the game. However, for some things, instead of simply localizing the dialogue, they do this funny thing called making shit up. Ardnan and Rassicus made a mod for the Octo expansion showing the directly translated and unaltered dialogue. In the mod, Tartar's motives are completely different. It's not him going, "You guys suck, I'm making a better life form." It's him going, "You guys don't deserve to be saved, and you're a complete downgrade, we need to go back," and outright says he's making a new humanity. So yeah, Tartar's plan wasn't to create the ultimate life form. It was to bring back humanity because he sees it as so much better. But why is that? Tartar said that he was left behind by a professor, meaning he could have activated after the professor's death, meaning he never actually met a human, so he couldn't get a grasp on what they were actually like. With the professor being alternan, he likely had access to the alternal log, and Tartar had to get his knowledge somewhere, right? The alternal log doesn't really highlight humanity's faults, so Tartar after many years could have had his knowledge on humanity warp until he saw it as a civilization that was perfectly logical. My evidence for this lies with the sanitized octolings. You see, since Tartar was bringing back humanity, he had to recreate it the way he thought it was like. The sanitized octolings think in this completely logical and robotic way. I also have a theory explaining the 80s theme Kamaboko has adapted. The alternal log says that not even scientists are immune to nostalgia. With Tartar's ideas of humanity warping, he could have thought of what we think is nostalgic, being stuff from the 80s. With how much he idolized humanity, he created Kamaboko based around this idea of humanity themed with nostalgia. Let me know of what you think of the theories in this video. This might sound cocky, but personally, if the Professor and Tartar are ever revisited in the future, I'm pretty confident that a solid chunk of what I said today will age well. With all that said,